The massive alien vessel hung in Earth's orbit, its sleek metallic surface gleaming against the darkness of space.
Inside the ship's command deck, Kang Jisu watched the blue planet with a mixture of curiosity and mild contempt. Humanity was just another primitive species waiting to be catalogued, another insignificant civilization in the vast galactic record. The first transmission came through standard communication channels.
A woman named Park Yuna responded, her voice crisp and professional.
Unlike the nervous or aggressive responses typical of emerging species, her communication was calm and measured.
Kang noticed something unusual in her tone, a quiet confidence that seemed out of place. Earth looked unremarkable from orbit. Scattered technological infrastructure, multiple competing political systems, and what appeared to be constant internal conflicts. The Galactic Confederation had seen countless such planets, most would never amount to anything significant in interstellar politics.
Kim Dae-won sat in the Earth-based communication center, watching the alien transmission with calculating eyes. He was a military captain, though nothing about his appearance suggested anything extraordinary. Medium height, average build, with a face that could blend into any crowd. But behind those eyes was an intelligence that was anything but average. The alien delegation requested a face-to-face meeting. Standard protocol for first contact scenarios. They expected submission, diplomatic formality, perhaps a display of technological inferiority. What they didn't expect was the response they would receive. When the alien shuttle landed in a designated meeting zone in the Nevada desert, everything seemed perfectly orchestrated.
Clean, open terrain.
No obvious military presence. Just a simple meeting area with representatives from various human organizations.
Kang Jisu stepped out first, followed by 3 other alien diplomats.
Their reptilian features were imposing, tall, scaled beings with advanced environmental suits that gleamed under the bright sunlight. They looked down at the human representatives, their body language communicating clear superiority. Kim Dae-won stood at the front of the human delegation. Beside him, Park Yuna held a simple digital tablet, her posture relaxed but alert. Around them, other human representatives waited, scientists, military personnel, and diplomatic experts. The initial conversation was polite but patronizing. The aliens spoke about their galactic community, their advanced technologies, their centuries of peaceful exploration. They described humanity as a developing species that might one day be considered for preliminary membership in their vast interstellar network. What they didn't realize was that every word was being carefully analyzed. Every gesture studied. Humans had spent decades preparing for potential first contact, studying communication strategies, psychological approaches, and potential threat scenarios.
Park Yuna asked precise, intelligent questions. Not aggressive, but surgically accurate.
She dismantled several alien assumptions with simple, logical queries that made the diplomatic team increasingly uncomfortable. Kim Dae-won watched, a slight smile playing at the corner of his mouth. The aliens began to realize something was different.
These humans weren't impressed. They weren't intimidated. They were analyzing, studying, preparing. As the first meeting concluded, Kang Jisu felt an unusual sensation. It wasn't fear, exactly. But for the first time in his diplomatic career, he wasn't certain about the species he was dealing with. Little did the alien delegation know that everything they saw was precisely calculated. The open terrain? Carefully selected for potential defensive strategies. The seemingly casual human representatives? Extensively trained professionals. The calm demeanor? A calculated psychological approach. Humanity had been waiting, watching, preparing. And this was just the beginning. The desert wind swept across the meeting area, carrying with it the promise of something the aliens had not yet comprehended, that sometimes, the most dangerous predators are the ones that don't immediately reveal their true nature. The first territorial dispute came quickly, like a spark in a dry forest. The alien confederation, believing humans would quickly submit, pushed against a newly established human colony on a distant mining planet. They sent a fleet of advanced warships, expecting a swift and simple conquest. Lee Minwo watched the incoming alien vessels on the tactical display.
His team had been preparing for this moment, studying every potential scenario. The mining colony wasn't just a random settlement, it was a carefully designed defensive position, disguised as a simple resource extraction point. Park Yuna's strategic analysis had been meticulous. She had mapped out potential alien attack vectors, designed adaptive defense systems that could change configuration faster than the aliens could predict. Each defense mechanism was a puzzle, a trap waiting to be sprung. The alien fleet approached with confidence. Their technology was generations ahead of human capabilities. Energy shields, faster-than-light communication, advanced weapon systems that could obliterate entire city blocks in seconds. They expected total victory within hours. What they didn't understand was human adaptability. As the first wave of alien ships entered the colony's defensive perimeter, strange things began to happen. Automated defense systems didn't just respond, they anticipated. Weapon platforms shifted positions faster than computer tracking could follow. Communication signals were intercepted, twisted, used against the invading force. Kim Dae-won had designed the colony's infrastructure as a living, breathing combat system. Mining equipment became weapons. Communication towers transformed into jamming stations. Even the planet's geological features were weaponized, laser drills repurposed as long-range cannons, underground tunnels turned into complex defensive networks. The aliens discovered something terrifying: humans didn't just defend. They hunted. Each alien attack was met with a response that seemed almost impossible. When energy shields blocked traditional weapons, human teams found electromagnetic alternatives. When alien communication systems tried to coordinate attacks, human hackers turned those same systems into confusion generators. Lee Min-wo's tactical team worked like a single organism. No panic, no fear, just cold, calculated response. They treated the invasion not as a threat, but as a complex problem to be solved. Every alien movement was an opportunity, every attack a chance to learn and adapt. The colony wasn't just defended. It was transformed into a trap. Alien commanders watched in growing horror as their advanced fleet was systematically dismantled. Not through superior technology, but through something far more dangerous: human creativity and ruthless adaptability. Entire squadrons of alien ships found themselves caught in gravitational anomalies that shouldn't have existed. Communication networks collapsed under sophisticated cyber attacks. Weapon systems were turned against their own creators through ingenious signal manipulation. Park Yuna's predictive models had mapped out potential scenarios months in advance. What looked like spontaneous defense was actually a carefully choreographed dance of technological and psychological warfare. By the time the first day of conflict ended, the alien fleet was reduced to scattered, confused vessels. They had lost over 60% of their attack force, not to superior weapons, but to human ingenuity. The Galactic Confederation received the first reports and couldn't believe their data. A newly contacted species had not just defended against a superior force, they had turned the invasion into a strategic lesson. Kim Dae-won's report was brutally simple: conflict resolved. Defensive capabilities demonstrated. What the aliens didn't realize was that this was just the first lesson. Humans were showing the galaxy something fundamental about their nature: they weren't just another species to be catalogued or conquered. They were predators. And the entire galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. The mining colony stood silent under the distant stars, a testament to humanity's unexpected capability. What looked like a simple resource outpost was actually a perfect example of human potential, turning limitations into strengths, transforming challenges into opportunities. And this was only the beginning. The massive alien fleet approached the human colony with absolute certainty of victory. Thousands of warships stretched across the dark canvas of space, their advanced weapon systems humming with destructive potential. They believed this would be a simple extermination. A quick demonstration of galactic superiority. Kim Dae-won watched their approach with cold calculation. Every sensor, every defensive system was prepared. The colony wasn't just a settlement, it was a living, breathing weapon waiting to be unleashed. The first wave of alien ships entered the planetary system, their energy signatures blazing like electric stars.
Conventional military wisdom suggested the human colony would be obliterated within hours.
No species had ever successfully defended against such an overwhelming assault.
No species except humans.
Lee Minwo's tactical team had transformed the entire planetary infrastructure into a combat mechanism.
Mining lasers became precision defense weapons. Communication towers converted into jamming stations. Even the planet's geological features became part of the defensive strategy.
When the first alien ships entered the atmosphere, something unexpected happened.
The ground itself seemed to come alive.
Automated defense systems emerged from seemingly harmless terrain, camouflaged weapon platforms rising like mechanical predators. Entire mountain ranges contained hidden weapon systems that activated with surgical precision. Park Yuna's strategic calculations were beyond anything the alien Confederation had encountered.
Each defensive move wasn't just a reaction, it was a calculated psychological assault. The humans weren't just defending. They were hunting.
Alien commanders watched in growing horror as their advanced fleet was systematically dismantled. Not through superior technology, but through something far more terrifying: human creativity and ruthless adaptability.
Gravitational anomalies trapped entire squadrons. Sophisticated cyber attacks turned communication networks into chaos. Weapon systems were manipulated and redirected with frightening efficiency.
What looked like random defense was actually a choreographed dance of technological warfare.
The planet itself became a weapon. Volcanic regions were triggered to create electromagnetic disruptions. Underground tunnel networks became complex movement channels for defensive robots. Even the atmospheric composition was manipulated to reduce alien technological effectiveness. Kim Dae-won's strategy was brutally simple: turn every resource into a potential weapon. Nothing was wasted.
Nothing was overlooked.
The entire planetary ecosystem was transformed into a complex, adaptive defense mechanism.
By the conflict's first day, the alien fleet had lost over 70% of its attack force. Not through traditional warfare, but through something the Galactic Confederation had never encountered: a species that viewed conflict as a problem-solving mechanism. Alien communication channels became filled with confusion and terror. Their advanced predictive models collapsed against human unpredictability. Every standard invasion strategy failed against an opponent who didn't follow any known rules of engagement. The human colony stood as a testament to adaptation. What looked like a simple resource settlement was actually a perfect demonstration of human potential, transforming limitations into unprecedented strengths. Lee Minwo's final tactical report was devastatingly concise: invasion neutralized.
Defensive capabilities confirmed.
The Galactic Confederation received the reports with growing understanding. This wasn't just a military victory. This was a fundamental shift in their understanding of humanity.
Humans weren't just another species to be catalogued or conquered.
They were predators. And the entire galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. As the last alien ships retreated, Kim Dae-won allowed himself a small, calculated smile.
The message was clear: humanity would not be an easy target.
They would be the hunters, not the hunted. The colony stood silent under distant stars, a warning and a promise to any who might consider challenging humanity's right to exist. And this was only the beginning. The xenopsychologists of the Galactic Confederation worked desperately to understand humanity. What they discovered terrified them more than any weapon could.
Humans weren't just a species.
They were psychological predators. Dr. Kim Seo-yeon's research revealed something fundamental about human evolution.
Every challenge in Earth's brutal history had transformed humans into ultimate adaptive creatures. They didn't just survive, they transformed survival into an art form. The alien researchers studied human historical records. Wars, environmental challenges, technological revolutions. Humans didn't just overcome obstacles.
They consumed them, learned from them, and became stronger through conflict.
Park Yuna's psychological profile became a nightmare for alien strategists. Humans viewed conflict not as destruction, but as a complex problem-solving mechanism.
Where other species saw threat, humans saw opportunity.
Where others retreated, humans advanced. Lee Minwo demonstrated this perfectly during interrogation scenarios. When captured by alien researchers, he didn't resist physically.
Instead, he systematically dismantled their psychological defenses through calculated communication. He asked questions that made his captors increasingly uncomfortable, revealing more about themselves than they extracted from him.
Human adaptability wasn't just physical. It was psychological. They could transform mental frameworks faster than any known species.
A human could go from diplomatic negotiator to strategic warrior in moments, adjusting their entire cognitive approach without hesitation. The alien confederation's most advanced psychological models collapsed when analyzing human behavior.
Humans didn't have predictable response patterns.
They created new strategies in real time, turning every interaction into a potential opportunity for advancement. Kim Dae-won's military training revealed another layer.
Humans treated psychological warfare as a natural extension of conflict.
They understood that breaking an opponent's mental resilience was more effective than physical destruction. Alien researchers discovered humans had developed entire communication strategies designed to manipulate psychological states.
Their language contained layers of meaning, subtle psychological triggers that could destabilize entire communication frameworks. The most terrifying revelation was simple: humans didn't just fight.
They hunted on psychological terrains. Every interaction was a potential hunting ground, every conversation a chance to understand and potentially dominate. Their evolutionary history on Earth had been a constant battle against overwhelming odds. Extreme weather, dangerous predators, limited resources. Humans had transformed these challenges into a complex survival mechanism that went beyond physical adaptation.
Park Yuna's analysis showed humans viewed the entire universe as a complex problem waiting to be solved.
Where other species saw limitations, humans saw potential strategies.
Their minds didn't just react, they anticipated, calculated, and transformed. The alien confederation's most advanced psychological models began to fail. Humans didn't just think outside the box, they constantly redesigned the box itself.
Their cognitive flexibility was beyond any known species. Lee Minwo's interrogation techniques became legendary. He could extract information not through force, but through carefully constructed psychological environments.
A simple conversation could become a complex intelligence-gathering operation. Humans had transformed psychological interaction into a sophisticated hunting mechanism. They didn't just communicate, they probed, analyzed, and adapted in real time.
The xenopsychologists realized a chilling truth: humanity wasn't just another species in the galactic ecosystem. They were psychological predators of unprecedented complexity.
Kim Dae-won represented this perfectly.
A military captain who could transition between diplomatic negotiation and strategic warfare without any apparent mental strain.
His psychological toolkit was so advanced it seemed almost supernatural to alien observers.
As the research continued, one conclusion became unavoidable: humans were the most dangerous intelligent life form in known space.
Not through technological superiority, but through an unmatched capacity for psychological adaptation and transformation.
The galaxy had discovered its ultimate predator.
And humanity was just getting started. The Galactic Confederation's Emergency Council meeting was unlike any in their 1,000-year history. Holographic displays showed humanity's rapid expansion, each projection more alarming than the last. Kang Jae-soo, the same diplomat who first encountered humans, now looked pale and tired. His preliminary report was brutal in its simplicity: humans are not just a species.
They are a force of nature.
Decades of interactions had transformed the galactic understanding of humanity.
What began as mockery had evolved into absolute respect and fear. Humans hadn't just entered the galactic stage, they had rewritten the entire rulebook of interstellar interaction.
Kim Dae-won sat in the diplomatic chambers, watching alien representatives discuss humanity's unprecedented rise. He didn't need to speak. His presence was enough to make entire alien delegations nervous. The statistical evidence was overwhelming.
In less than 50 years, humans had colonized more planets, developed more adaptive technologies, and resolved more interstellar conflicts than any emerging species in recorded history. Where other civilizations took centuries to expand, humans moved like a calculated storm. Park Yuna's psychological research had become required reading across multiple alien academic institutions. Her studies revealed humans weren't just adapting, they were systematically understanding and then transforming every challenge they encountered. Lee Minwo's military strategies had become case studies in tactical innovation. Alien military academies now studied human conflict resolution not as a historical footnote, but as a critical survival manual. The Galactic Confederation's diplomatic protocols were completely rewritten. Where humans were concerned, traditional approaches no longer worked. They weren't a species to be managed or controlled. They were a phenomenon to be understood and, if possible, carefully negotiated with. Technological exchanges became carefully choreographed dances. Alien civilizations realized that sharing technology with humans meant potentially unleashing innovations they couldn't predict or control. Humans didn't just adopt technologies, they reimagined them. Economic models collapsed and were rebuilt. Human traders and diplomats moved through galactic markets like strategic hunters, turning every interaction into an opportunity for advancement. Traditional trade routes were disrupted, new economic frameworks emerged. The most chilling revelation was humanity's psychological approach. They didn't view the galaxy as a fixed system but as a complex, adaptable environment waiting to be understood and potentially transformed. Alien researchers discovered something fundamental: humans saw limitations as temporary challenges. Where other species saw barriers, humans saw puzzles waiting to be solved. Their cognitive flexibility was beyond any known evolutionary model. The Confederation's leadership understood a critical truth: humanity wasn't just another species entering the galactic community. They were a transformative force that would reshape everything they touched. Diplomatic channels that once mocked humans now sought carefully negotiated peaceful relationships. The species once considered a potential minor player was now recognized as the most dynamic intelligence in known space. Kim Daewon's quiet presence in these meetings spoke volumes. He didn't need aggressive posturing. His calm demeanor communicated something more powerful: humans were confident in their place in the universe. The final acknowledgement came not through words, but through actions. Alien civilizations began adapting their own systems, preparing for a future where humanity would be a central, unpredictable force. Park Yuna's final research report captured the essence of this transformation: humanity is not just a species. They are a continuous, adaptive system that transforms everything they encounter. The galaxy had discovered its most unexpected predator. Not through brutal force, but through an unmatched capacity for understanding, adaptation, and relentless innovation. Humans weren't just participants in the galactic story. They were about to become its primary authors.